The problem that we face nowadays is the Syrian refugee crisis. It started in 1946 when France and Britain established the borders of Syria, leaving 5 different religions sharing the same land: Christians, Shiites, Alawites, Sunnis, and Druze, which later on generated religious conflicts. And now we're going with my partner, who's going to talk about what is happening today.
During the Arab Spring Revolution, many countries overthrew their authoritarian regimes in the Middle East, but not Syria, even though the population was claiming for democracy. Due to this violence against the people, rebel groups were formed and a civil revolution took place. Many Syrians were taken away from their homes and forced to flee their countries in order to find shelter, aid, and a better life. Let's see the next interview.
Syrians want to overthrow their current ruler, Bashar al-Assad. This is because of the ideologies the Arab Spring Revolution caused, and mainly because they don't want to keep living in a country where the claims of the people are not being taken into account, and instead they're just being oppressed cruelly.
Around 11 million refugees had fled from Syria, principally into the next places: Turkey, Iraq, Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt.
Here we are with one expert on the conflict.
The conflict in Syria is based primarily on the government against a rebellion made up of a combination of the Islamic State and the Syrian Liberation Army.
Here we are with one of the victims.
They did this to my hair. They threw a bomb and it exploded on my hair. Look, look!
Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Valeria. A quick abstract of this conflict starts with a historical background that goes all the way back to 1946, after the World War II was over, when France and Britain established the borders of Syria, leaving 5 different religions sharing the same land: Christians, Alawites, Shiites, Sunnis, and Druzes, which later on generated religious conflicts. France had interest in Syria because of their oil, and therefore French companies dominated the oil and benefit from it. During the mid-70s, Hafez al-Assad, the president of Syria at that time, tried to modernize the country by brutal repression against the population. 30 years later, by 2000, Hafez al-Assad died and left his place to his son Bashar al-Assad, who is the current president of Syria. During the Arab Spring Revolution, many countries overthrew their authoritarian regimes in the Middle East, but not Syria, even though the population was claiming for democracy and government was rejecting it. Instead, Bashar al-Assad decided to arrest, torture, destroy many homes, and kill the ones who protested against his decisions. Due to this violence against the people, rebel groups were formed. A civil revolution took place. Many Syrians were taken away from their homes, relocated, and forced to flee from the country in order to find shelter, aid, and a better life. These aspects give them the title of the nowadays called refugees. Civic, an organization who's aiding the Syrians in the conflict, published materials including recommendations to nations offering technical and material assistance to the Syrian rejection. Countries like the USA, some of the European Union such as Germany, Greece, Sweden, Italy, France, and the United Kingdom, and a few from Latin America have opened their doors to refugees of Syria, but some of them don't. About 700,000 Syrian refugees kids were not scolarized in 2014. And now we're going to talk with Paola Fernandez, an expert in social media. Hi, Pao.
Hi, Melanie. Thank you. Well, as we noticed, this is a really serious problem and we have several solutions. Like, for example, as a worldwide citizen, you can donate any amount of money to Mercy Corps, an organization that helps around 3.7 million people both inside Syria and in neighboring countries. They deliver clean water and improved shelter. They also provide clothing, mattress, and household essentials. They also provide emotional support for children. Another solution is make a slogan and diffuse through social media to create awareness of the problem. This way it will be able to receive help from more people. Another one is when refugees arrive to your country, receive them in a respectful way, without making a distinction. If possible, receive them in your house or support them in any way you can.
Thank you, Paula. That's everything for today. Good evening.